Right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. Uh, Tonight's topic is actually interesting because for a lot of people who've been studying Buddhism for quite some time, it ends up being quite a boring topic sometimes because it talks about things that we can't really see, we can't really verify. It talks about world systems and being different types of beings that unless you have a specific, unless you're psychic, like my sisters, who see ghosts all the time. Oh, did you see that one over there? She wearing the red. So unless you're like her, you know, the number of types of beings are very limited. It's humans, animals, and that's it. But there's supposed to be a whole range of different types of other kinds of beings. So I'll present it in a way to make it relevant, so it doesn't end up being boring like it usually ends up being. I hope. I hope. So we'll do a meditation. Oh my goodness, Sangeeta, haven't seen her in ages.
Hi,
Welcome.
Phuntsok.
Uh, so we do a beginning meditation, and we'll do and I'll talk. And again, I mostly will promise that we will not have time for you to ask questions. Maybe if I begin that way, maybe we'll have time. Because before, whenever I say, "Oh, we'll have time for you to ask questions," we never end up having time. So we're not going to plan on it, so that maybe it will automatically come up by itself. And then we'll close with a meditation also. All right. So let's begin the way we usually begin with a meditation to set our intention, inviting our innate wisdom to come and help us understand these so that we can actually put them into practice in our lives. Okay. So first, have the intention that, no, I'm seeing both. I'm seeing the absence of mojo and the absence of mojo. Okay, so make the intention that you're going to meditate, that you're going to enter into a realm where you will be becoming intimately acquainted with your natural state of being, approaching it closer and closer. And in that intention, make space for that innate intelligence that can guide you through this talk. And allow this intention to be communicated to the rest of your body. Feel the natural intelligence that's in the body responding to your intention. You know it's responding when you feel the need to make certain adjustments with the body, either some big adjustment or some micro adjustment. You know that it's that intelligence in the body responding to your intention. And that intelligence already it knows exactly how the body should be so that you can go as deeply as you can in meditation. So listen to it as it guides you, while you're keeping that sense of contact and communication. Gently scan the body. Think of your consciousness as a bright light, scanning the body, beginning with your feet, and continue moving up. Be aware of the torso, making sure that you are experiencing comfort and stability in the posture. Allow the arms to be relaxed, the shoulders relaxed, even. Let the head and neck be centered so there's no conscious effort in holding the head and neck in place. Make sure the mouth, teeth, tongue are resting in their natural places. The muscles of the face are relaxed. And let your eyes take whatever posture is conducive for you. Completely closed, slightly opened, halfway open, or even just fully open, staring straight ahead. Whatever helps you to get deeper into the meditative state. Now feel the whole body as a unit, the sense of the readiness of the body. And once you feel confident that the body is ready, gently go to the breath. As you breathe in, simply know you are breathing in. As you breathe out, simply know you are breathing out. And eventually notice the breath. Its behavior is somewhat different than the previous breath. When you notice this change in the behavior, that's your indication that you're fully ready to completely commit to the meditative state. And as a way of expressing that full commitment, take a nice deep breath, gently, fully in through the nose. Hold it for a moment or two, and then through the mouth, release. And as you release, let go, feel the letting go in the body, feel the letting go in the breath, feel the letting go energetically, feel the letting go in the mind, keep letting go, keep letting go, keep letting go. Notice the signs arising, rejoice witnessing them. And at the end of that, stay where the breath took you, but let the breath return to its own rhythm. But stay in that calm, stay in that degree of pleasantness, stay in that degree of clarity and radiance. Stay in that degree of collected focus, collected attention. Notice the inner signs arising. Different people will have different signs. You may have a combination of signs. Could be purely energetic. Could be somatic. It could be visual. It could be a sound that you hear. Whatever it is, consider that to be, that's the sign that your mind right now is more subtle than it was before, brighter than it was before, clearer than it was before. And you're now in a deeper level of consciousness than you were before. Noticing these signs, rejoice. Feel the wholeness of your continuum, physical, emotional, cognitive, intellectual. And think of center, a place where you feel whole, a place where you feel nurtured within your own continuum. And that could be somewhere along the energy centers. It could be within, it could be outside, it could be above your head, wherever that gives you a sense of center. So go there, and from that place, begin to think. There is something calling you to something meaningful within your own continuum. Think of it as perhaps somewhere in time and space where you will have fully developed and from that place you're sending a call to you right here, right now. And that's what gives you that sense of urge, that wish to do something meaningful, or that will feel for you meaningful. So align yourself with that. And towards that, express deep reverence, deep respect. And as you feel that deep sense of respect, relax. let go. Go deeper into the calm, palpably present in the body, palpably present in the breath, palpably present in the mind. As you express that sense of respect, let yourself go deeper into the pleasantness, palpably present in the body in some degree, in the breath and the mind. And gently, again, turning your full attention to that presence, which is your own awakened being, and express deep trust. You feel at times being guided. Know that it is coming from your own possibility to fulfill a meaningful existence. Trust that guidance. And as you trust, let go. Go deeper. Allow the calm to be calmer, the pleasantness to be more pleasant. And as you let go, notice the inner sensations gaining strength, the inner sound becoming louder, sharper, the inner sensations becoming stronger, the visions becoming brighter, clearer. Know that it's because you're indeed going deeper into meditation, accessing more subtle, more powerful levels of your own consciousness. And towards that presence, with complete confidence, complete conviction that indeed you will achieve this meaningful existence that you feel urge to embody. And with that perfect sense of confidence, express gratitude for all the guidance that you will have received, guidance coming from within, guidance coming from outside, guidance unknown, guidance known. And by following them, you eventually achieve that ideal state. So be grateful to everything that makes it possible, to yourself now and to yourselves in the future. And notice you're deeper now in the calm, in the pleasantness. You're deeper now in the clarity and the radiance, the vividness of experience. Rejoice. Turn to that intelligence within you that is able to guide and understand. And let that intelligence stay with you. Help you remove the doubts. Help you remove whatever confusions that may come up. Your own truth validator. And spend a few moments with that, communing. And strongly determine that you will make use of this in your life now. And get ready to come out of the meditation with the intention to arise. Take a nice deep breath. And as you release the breath, let yourself deliberately reconnect with your immediate surroundings. Again, be aware of your surroundings, feel a sense of touch, noticing the clothes, noticing the temperature. Let your yourself hear the different sounds, let yourself see the different colors, the lights, the shadows, shapes. Okay. Ah, Mojo did it. He poofed into existence. All right. So, how do we approach this in a way that has some sense of practicality to it, other than I remember when I was very young, I was very, very sort of curious about the universe, about the planets, about uh, especially the size and scope of the universe. But I wasn't interested in it in a way that was actually going to be helping me with anything that had to do with my life. I was just interested in it because it was a very curious thing to know. It was a very pleasant thing to know. Right? So, other than that, is there why is there even a mentioning of cosmology? So one of the things that I would love to take care of right here, right now, is every once in a while you're talking to another Buddhist, you're talking to another person who has some understanding of Buddhism, and they speak of samsara and nirvana, samsara and enlightenment. And they sometimes equate samsara with the universe, as though some universe is samsara, and then when you come out of the universe, that's when you go into nirvana or you go into enlightenment. So that's the first thing I would like to take care of. Okay, the universe is not samsara. Samsara is not a place, just like enlightenment is not a place outside of the universe. Okay, enlightenment is not a place outside of the universe. Samsara is a way of existing, just like enlightenment is a way of existing. Okay, you don't go out of existence when you're enlightened, and you don't. There wasn't as long as you exist, you're in samsara, you're in the universe. All right. So that's the first thing I like to take care of before anybody come ask that question at the end. So that's taken care of in the very beginning. Samsara is not the universe. The planet Earth is not samsara. Okay. You could be in nirvana while you're on the planet Earth, while you all can also be in samsara while you're same on the same planet Earth. Okay, you can be in nirvana having dinner and having a cocktail with your friends, or you could be in samsara while you're having a cocktail also with your friends. Okay, so that takes care of nirvana and samsara as far as cosmology is concerned. Okay, so in terms of cosmology, you can say cosmology is where do beings exist? The things that exist, where do they exist? What are the different ways, the different planes existence can be experienced? Okay. So there are two elements involved, a consciousness and an expression of that consciousness, or a place where that consciousness is having experiences. So these are the two main elements you could say about existence, a consciousness having an experience and the thing that the consciousness seems to be experiencing. Okay, so two main elements. Now, what are the possible places where a consciousness can have experience of existing? Okay, this is not samsara nirvana, all right? And also, you could say that Buddhism, as far as cosmology is concerned, cosmology is a compound of different experiences. It is what you may call environmental or physical. It's also psychological, and also spiritual. So these three things coming together create what you might call the Buddhist cosmology, and they're not separate from each other. They are they're interwoven into each other. Wherever there is an existence, there is an expression of these three on a kind of environment, a kind of a consciousness experiencing it, and a way of relating to it. Okay? So that's cosmology in terms of a way of sort of like a further summary. So there are two elements, a summary of what those two elements are doing with each other. So sometimes in certain scholars, they call it psychophysical trichiliocosm. Yes, that was a mouthful. And I'm surprised that I actually remember that. The first time I heard that word, and I'm completely forgetting how to pronounce it now. Trichiliocosm. The first time I heard that, I was very fascinated by that word. I just love the word itself. Forget what it means. I just love that word. And every time, and like right now, I have an opportunity to say it. Every time I have an opportunity to say it, I love saying it. So trichiliocosm. So a trichiliocosm is basically the full range, is what you might call a system where different consciousnesses, different beings interrelate with each other. And it has different levels or different planes. So there is what you might call a universe. Okay. And yes, within Buddhist cosmology, multi-universe, there are multiple numbers of universes. Okay, so a universe is a trichiliocosm. And the reason that it's called that is because it is composed of different layers of subtleties of matter and also different layers of kinds of subtleties of consciousnesses. Okay. So there could be a trichiliocosm over there, and then they have their own planes of suffering. They have their own planes of light beings, their own planes of humans, and they have. We can visit each other, but you have to be a certain level to be able to do that. To be able to visit another trichiliocosm, another system. It's just like you need money if you want to travel to a different country. If you don't have money, you cannot travel. So that's your merit. That's your capacity, you could say, to be able to travel to a different realm. Okay. All right. So this trichiliocosm. Okay, I'm going to stop saying it. The universe in which we dwell. There isn't, as far as Buddhism is concerned, you could say, as far as Buddhist reasoning is concerned, when we observe our reality, we observe that whatever that is in our present experience, whatever that is presented to us, that thing is connected to a chain of causation. That the bottle comes from the factory comes from this. So and because everything that we experience, everything that is within our realm of experience is something that is the culmination of things coming together. Because of that reasoning, interestingly, Buddhism says there is no absolute beginning. Because it would have to be, there is a point in existence when there was absolutely no existence, and then somehow created this chain of causation where things depend on other things to come into existence. So that would, the very fact that things that exist because they come into existence because they depend on other things helping them come into existence. That very fact means it's endless as far as Buddhist reasoning is concerned. But there are relative beginnings. Like this bottle came into existence, relatively speaking. But all of the components that make up the bottle existed already. It's not that as soon as the bottle exists, that's when existence came into being. Okay, so there is no, in Buddhist cosmology, there is no absolute beginning. But our universe had a beginning. And it had a beginning relative to while some other universes were still existing. Just like the way we count years, for example, the way in the Western world, and most of the world has adopted the Western way of 2024, the year 2024. The year 2024 is a very relative number. It's relative to something, right? It doesn't mean that the Earth is 2024 years old. I know some people may believe that, but sorry to crash to your belief. The Earth is not 2024 years old. This is relative to. So relative, you could say, relative to other universes, if you were to age the Earth or the age of our universe, it would be relative to some other universe. When that universe was in its such and such era, our universe came into being. And some other universes are coming into being, and other universes are also going out of existence. So the process of transformation, the process of being born and dying, is not just with human beings. It's not just with it's not just with animals and beings. It's with everything that exists. Goes into the cycle. There's a time the sun wasn't there and it came into existence when all the conditions came together, and there's a time when the sun will no longer be there. In Buddhism, all these things is sort of taken into consideration. All right. What's the purpose of describing Buddhist cosmology when the aim of Buddhism is to get to nirvana, get out? It's not to get out of the universe, but get out of the cycle of perpetual making problems for yourself. The perpetual instinct of doing the very thing that will create the things that you don't want to experience. How do you get out of that cycle? Getting out of that cycle doesn't mean you get out of existence. You don't cease to exist. You don't come out of the universe. Okay. So the reason for mentioning Buddhist cosmology is to say, okay, you want to get out of, what do you want to get out? What are the different places that where you can find yourself in? Okay, I don't like my neighborhood. I don't like the way it smells. I don't like the people there. So I want to get out of that neighborhood. Okay. So what are the possible different neighborhoods that exist where I can live, where I'm hoping not to have the experiences that I'm having in the neighborhood where I am? Okay. So that's one of the automatic ways of thinking. So this way of existing in this kind of a universe, in the way I'm experiencing the universe, I don't want to continue to experience it. Where else I can have an existence that doesn't have some of the elements that I don't like here? Okay, all right, and then an existence cosmologist salesperson comes to you and say, "Well, I'm glad you make a call." Okay, and it gives you a spreadsheet of the different. Oh, these are the different places where you can exist. Okay. And the whole point of Buddhism is it doesn't matter where you exist. If you are still ignorant about who you are, you're still going to have problems. Okay, it doesn't matter if you leave the neighborhood. Uh, uh, you're still going to find problem in the other neighborhood. Okay, problem is not going to leave you until you make a radical transformation of your own being. But since you asked about the different places where you can live, okay, here is a spreadsheet. All right, so let's begin. I was tempted to say it, so I'm not going to say it. I was going to say trichiliocosm, but I'm not going to say trichiliocosm, okay? If you were to summarize it, it is summarized. This is what we refer to as the three realms of existence, or three regions. These are basically the two kinds of words that people use: three realms and three spheres of existence. Okay? Where we are is called the desire realm. And a more subtle kind of material way of living, existing, is called the form realm. Or some scholars prefer to translate it as refined form realm. Okay, my neighborhood garbage all the time, so that's desire realm. Your neighborhood is always clean, that's refined realm. Okay, that's the way of understanding it. And then there's a realm that is beyond any form. It is purely mental, purely ideal. So these are the three realms when you talk about three realms: desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. Form meaning a refined form. Okay. Within the desire realm, that's where you meet animals, that's where you meet humans, and there are different degrees of experiencing dissatisfaction, different degrees of experiencing pain and suffering. Like the animals have their own kind of suffering, humans have their own kind of suffering, and you also have what do you call it? Uh, the kinds of beings that my sisters swears that they see, and there are beings that are called what you call it, pretas, or hungry ghosts is a way that they translate that term, hungry ghosts. So you have animals, humans, hungry ghosts, and then a more subtle form of being, they're called the asuras or the demons. Now, before you get bored, these are also psychological states. Okay? A human being can be an animal, a human being can be a human, because when we see someone behave in a certain way, that some instinct tells us they are not behaving the way it is expected a human to be behaving. And if someone goes beyond their charity, beyond their goodness, say, oh, this person is angelic. Okay. And if someone is very warlike, for some reason can't get, everything has to be a fight, everything has to be a dispute with someone, no matter what is said, no matter what is going on, they just have this need to always be in constant war. So that would be like an asura. Okay. So the one of the main reasons for also giving the spreadsheet of the cosmology is to understand, don't be prideful thinking that what you see is all there is in existence. Don't think that the experiences that humans have are unique only to humans. We share a lot of our experiences with also non-humans. There are non-humans, like more than just animals. Okay. And to sort of broaden our horizon, broaden our perspective, so that we don't get stuck when we are in a certain situation, when we feel that there's no way out. Okay, is to help us broaden our perspective so we can free ourselves when we find ourselves like imprisoned in certain concepts, imprisoned in certain ideas. Okay, so within your own, as a human being, you can experience these three, where you're full of desire, where meaning your existence seems to be driven to fulfill certain desires. And the form realm is more like ideal, more refined, like somebody who's interested in the arts, for example. So that's really like a form realm. And the formless realm are those, you could say, like the philosophers, people who just live in their heads, you could say, something like that. Okay. Now, these realms are further divided into so these three realms are further divided into different types of beings. Interesting enough that this topic was requested by Nizam, and recently I've been looking into, somebody at work introduced me into the Kardashev scale of civilization. Have you heard of that? It's very interesting. And what's this physicist name? Michio Kaku? Machio Kaku? Michio Kaku. You've heard of him, right? I mean, Yeah, Michio, I think it's Michio Kaku. Michio Kaku spends a lot of time talking about it, about the Kardashev's um, scale of civilization. By the way, this, I'm not sure, I think it goes up to 10 levels, but already up to level 5, it's almost impossible to understand. And if you're wondering where we are on the scale, we are at 0. Okay, we are at 0 at the Kardashev scale. Okay, and as I was looking into that, the description of the Kardashev scale of civilization, and because it was being presented by a physicist, so it was presenting in language that I can understand. It made me reminded me of when I was reading certain sutras where the Buddha was describing worlds where people live and the distances where those worlds are. And it was just absolutely fantastic. Fantastic in the sense of, I can't believe this. This is just not believable. This is just some poetical way of expressing something. And then when I became sort of more interested in the Kardashev scale and I started to read more about it, and I said, oh, wow, they sort of like correlate with each other. Some of the things that the Buddha is talking about seems to be like the Buddha is talking about certain levels of what you might call certain scale of civilizations. Because when he talks about where it is, what the beings are capable of doing in those realms, then it seems to correspond with the Kardashev scale. So if you're interested, look for, have some YouTube video of Michio Kaku doing some presentation of Kardashev scale, right? So cosmology, you have those 3 realms. And within those 3 realms, remember those 3 realms are 3 realms of samsara. And within those 3 realms, you have the different kinds of beings. Different kinds of beings in terms of what distinguishes, what is it that makes the absolute distinction between among beings, these different, what makes a being different from another being is to what degree are they ignorant? That is, to what degree are they attached to a false identity? To what degree do they buy appearances as being absolute? To what degree are they governed by their kleshas? To what degree do they have certain kinds of freedom? To what degree are they able to experience certain levels of subtleties of consciousness? So that's what distinguishes those kinds of beings. So you can say that, yes, of course, there are a lot of places where they're sort of like intertwined, where they meet, and then they no longer are with each other. Like you said, there are certain qualities that humans share with animals. There are certain qualities that they don't share. That's what makes them. So those qualities that they don't that are unique to humans makes sort of like distinguishes them from animals. And there's certain qualities that animals have that humans don't have. That's what distinguishes them from human beings. So in the same way, but there's certain things that we share. So in the same way, all these different types of being, there are things that they share and there are things that are unique to them or things that they sort of like focus on. Okay. There is also different environments depending on the level of spirituality of the being. Okay. And these beings have different expressions. Of course, there are human beings who are spiritual, and there are beings who are more spiritual than some humans, and they are sort of like congregate into one place. And these are the places that are referred to as the pure lands. The pure lands, the Buddha fields, the Buddha paradises. But these pure lands, these pure abodes, the beings who dwell there are they're only spiritual. That's all. That's all they do. You know, it's like you go to you have some friends. They're only interested in business. That's all. That's in their mind. That's all they talk about: business, deals, and all kind of stuff. So they have that's their. So that would be like their realm, business realm. Okay. So there are beings whose only focus is spiritual things. And there are two main kinds of spiritual beings. There are spiritual beings who are spiritual, but they are mainly motivated by, I just want to get out of this. I just want to get out of this. And if there's someone, of course, it doesn't mean that they're completely selfish, even though relatively speaking, they may be called selfish spiritually, but they're not selfish compared to a regular human being. It's not like if someone comes to them that they can help, and they say, "I'm sorry, I'm the first type of spiritual being. I don't bother with people, so I'm selfish." Of course, they will help. Of course, they have compassion. Of course, they have love. But their main focus is, I just want to get out of here. I just want, and remember, getting out of here doesn't mean getting out of the universe. It means getting out of this way of existing. I want to exist in a different way. And they reach a certain degree where they no longer share inequalities with regular human beings anymore. And when they no longer share inequalities with regular human beings, they are the ones who are called non-returners. They've completely done away with any karmic tendencies that would make them be born within the vicinity of the human realm. So they are the place, the environment that they find themselves in, they're called pure realms. And remember, there are two kinds of pure realms. Of course, those who are on their own personal, it's called personal journey of personal liberation, they find themselves into 5 of these different places. And the reason what distinguishes, and remember, what is it that they all intermingle? And what is it that distinguishes them that they create 5 separate environments? It depends on the level of mastery of certain practices. And this level of mastery, believe it or not, is it's gonna sound funny, it's gonna sound silly, but if you're a real meditator, it's not. Okay. How fast can you enter deep meditation and how fast can you come out of it? Okay. How fast can you enter into a blissful state, fully experience it, and quickly come out of it? The first time you enter into a blissful experience, you're completely lost into that experience. All there is just the blissful experience. And then eventually you start to say, oh, I'm having a blissful experience. And then eventually it wears down, wears out. You have no control as to how long can you stay there. Okay. So these are beings who are able to, in a matter of seconds, enter into that really enter into that deeply blissful state. And within that second, they're able to completely come out of it. Okay, so degree to which they're able to do this. Okay, I can do this with 5 rounds. I'm not kidding. Okay, not me. I'm saying that's imagine having a Olympic competition. Okay, Bodhisattva Raymond is now it has done 3,000 rounds in 1 second. Entering into bliss and coming out of it. That's the world record now. Something like that, okay? And that's mainly with those who are seeking personal liberation. Eventually, on your journey, on your spiritual journey, you're no longer you have you're so you have your common experience with regular human being is so distant that you are in your own environment, okay, and where you don't have to worry about somebody coming in who has no interest in spirituality whatsoever. Okay, you know how that is, right? Those people keep bombarding you, right? Don't worry, eventually they will disappear. All your friends, even the strangers will be spiritual people. Okay. Now, for those who are motivated by, oh my God, look at all these beings suffering. How can I transform myself so I can help them? How can I grow spiritually so I can be of help to them? They also, because of their uh, lack of commonality with those who are concerned about personal liberation, they also find themselves forming their own realms. And the number, so um, they are not number in terms of environments, but number in terms of levels of spiritual attainments. And these are the 10 Bodhisattva bhumis or 10 Bodhisattva stages. But they're not stages in terms of environment, but stages in terms of, and this is where, when you're reading about these Bodhisattvas, that's when, and that's when the Kardashev scale started to say, wow, that's what maybe the Buddha was talking about. Okay. Like, for example, when we finally go to Kardashev's scale 1, that's when humanity, imagine humanity coming together as one. They see each other as one, and one, just one humanity. No longer different countries, but different places, different cultures, but one country. No longer having wars. They've done away with that. And they are, whatever energy comes into the planet, they're able to use it in a way that is sustainable, that is renewable. Da, 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 da. The energy is not passe. It's like 2024. Okay, and also they are able to control weather. I mean, already we are already to control weather, not the way we want to, but we are in a way controlling weather. You know, you heard about the flood that happened in Dubai. It was man-made. I mean, not that they say, oh, let's create a flood. We want rain, let's make some rain, but because of lack of control, it ended up being a flood. Okay, so to a certain degree, we were already starting to see that. So at level 1, we're able to basically no more natural disasters because we have enough mechanism to control things. Level 2, they say they are able to completely use almost 100% of the sun's energy, and they basically colonize the entire solar system. That's level 1, and they are able to do what is called what's that thing called? Terraforming. Okay, so that's civilization 1. I'm gonna make the connection with the Bodhisattva levels. It's coming. Okay, I can sort of yeah, I can read your mind. Not really, but I did. So there's a connection with the Kardashev scale and the Bodhisattvas. And level 3, now imagine now it's galactic. So level 3, yeah. Level 2, not only are they able to travel within the solar system, they're able to travel to another star, right? But I don't know, it takes them whatever time, but they can't do that much. But level 3, it's galactic, the entire Milky Way. Imagine you're able to visit somebody on Andromeda, okay, something like that. Now, when they're describing the Bodhisattva levels, what distinguishes one Bodhisattva level from another is their capacity. Basically, to what degree are they able to control their sovereignty? Sovereignty meaning your body is made up of elements, fire, liquid, gas, a lot of gas here, liquid, gas, earth, those things. To what degree are you able to manipulate these? And you can say that you can sort of see in the future, if we don't kill each other and we actually advance scientifically speaking, we will be able to have enough control where we will have much more control over our diseases, over our body, to the point where, I mean, people even now are experimenting with, you know, what's called, I think, gene something. Gene, what's it? Gene splicing, where they can say, okay, this trait is going to remove that trait, we're going to remove this trait, this person is going to have this trait and that trait. So if we're just thinking about this and we've seen that this is possible, eventually there will be a time when we will be able to do this kind of things, where a parent say, okay, I want my child, I want a son, I want a daughter, and I want a bi or whatever it is that they want, and I want them to have this and that and this and those physical characteristics, and they'll be able to do it. Okay. And believe it or not, in the Abhidharma, which is not the Abhidharma, the Vinaya, which is a very ancient text, Buddhist text that talks about the rules. How to, what does that mean, the rules? How to have an harmonious community. That's what the rules means. Okay. And within that text, do you know how many genders are presented in that? Not two. Okay. More than that. So 2,500 years ago, there was already, it was just common people to just acknowledge that there are more than two genders. Okay. So I don't know, for all of a sudden moving backwards, there seem to be some impossible things for us to even imagine. And we're supposed to be more advanced. Anyway, so there is, to what degree are you able to manipulate your own biology? So, right? So that also determines the level of the bodhisattva. To what degree that being is able to what you might call manipulate space and time. I remember reading some sutras where they say, oh, there are bodhisattvas who can take two galaxies and put them in his pocket, and the beings there don't go, whoa, 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 it's dark. The beings don't even know that that's happening to them. And believe it or not, within the Kardashev scale, there's supposed to be a level, I guess, level. I'm not going 1, 2, 3, 4 because that's boring. There is actually a level in the Kardashev scale where the beings are able to manipulate time and space. I mean, they've gone beyond. I mean, galactic manipulation is just level 3. Universal manipulation is level 4. Level 5 is multiverse manipulation, right? Being able to appear in this universe and that universe, make yourself multiply 1 trillion times. It seems almost impossible for us to imagine. And yet, in the Buddhist cosmology, they talk about beings who do these things. Bodhisattvas who take universes and put them in the pocket, whatever that would mean. Imagine what kind of pocket a Bodhisattva would have that can fit a universe. I don't know. I'd like to see that tailor. Maybe it's a fashion designer. What kind of fashion designer would that be? Huh? Okay, I want to be able to fit 5 universes in my pocket. And all this is to tell us, is to expand our horizon, okay? To make us know that the limitations that we at the present moment seems to be overwhelming. Don't buy into it. Don't buy into those limitations. Okay. Okay. When I put my hands in fire, it burns. Don't take that as limitation. I'm not saying go put your hand in fire until you might be able to do something with your biology where you're able to put your hand in fire. I mean, if what's that thing called? Tardigrade? That's the name of it? Tardigrade, right? It's a microorganism that lives in volcanoes, and also you can find it in freezing temperatures. As a matter of fact, it says it can live in outer space. So if I'm going to be arrogant and say, if the microorganism can do it, why can't I do it? I'm a human being. I rule millions of microorganisms. So one microorganism can decide to, okay, I'm going to be able to live in space. I'm going to be able to live in fire. And I can't do it. Okay. So no matter what limitations you're experiencing, don't buy into it. It doesn't mean that you can overcome your experience the next moment or the next day. You're not at that level yet. There are beings who are at that level, just like, one of the ways of understanding this thing that seems to be just too much, too abstract to understand, is to relate them with our own experiences, right? And then imagine, just like, I'm suffering, and then you meet someone who's suffering, and your suffering compares to theirs. It seems like you're having fun. Okay, so in that same way, where something that seems to be suffering for you is not suffering, and someone else is suffering even much more. So you can imagine where the things that are limiting to you right now are not necessarily absolutely limiting. You can, if you work at it, you can overcome all limitations. You can overcome the limitation of samsara, and that's where we experience limitations. So samsara is existing in a way where we are limited. We're limited by matter. We are limited by time, limited by space. What else we're limited? Everything that you can think of, there's a limitation that we experience. And overcoming these limitations, as we grow spiritually, we overcome these limitations until we completely overcome them. That's liberation, where you can be that bodhisattva who puts 2 universes in your left pocket and 5 universes in your left pocket or right pocket. I forgot which one I said. Well, anyway, you know what I'm talking about, depending on your tailor. Okay. Now, let's get serious. All that, I wasn't serious yet. Now, let's get serious. Okay. So, I said the path, as you're on the path, what you're doing, you're overcoming limitation. Little by little, little by little. One of the limitations that you overcome, that you could say most of us are here that presently, one of the limitations being brought to us by our kleshas. But if we keep reminding ourselves that our fundamental nature is what you might call freedom itself. Well, okay, I call it freedom itself. Our fundamental nature is just pure potential. We are, and that is existing as an extremely powerful state. That's an extremely powerful state. It is so powerful, even though your fundamental nature is limitless, you have the might and power to experience yourself as having limitations. So the fact that the experience of limitation is a testimony to your unlimited power, unlimited ability. Because your fundamental nature is not limitation, and yet somehow you're able to make yourself experience limitations. So when the limitation that you're playing with, you're having fun with, you get bored with it, don't get stuck thinking that that's your identity. Drop into your fundamental nature of limitlessness, and then express and allow yourself to express your existence in a different way. Okay. So, and as we dip into this fundamental nature, fundamental way of being, we let go of our attachment to limitations. The reason, believe it or not, the reason that we experience limitations is because we are attached to them. Okay? Let me say it again. The reason that we experience limitations is because we are attached to the limitations. And as we progress spiritually, we let go little by little of these attachments. And then we experience more expanded ways, more expanded perspectives, where we are able to see more of reality, you're able to see more colors, more shapes. We are able to experience different realms of our own consciousness, where we don't need matter to do some of the things that is required of matter. Okay. Like, for example, reach a certain degree of overcoming limitations that instead of, I mean, right now, what we're experiencing with this actual streaming is a kind of limit, overcoming a limitation. So if some of you are in, most of you are in different parts of the country, one of you is in a different country altogether, and here we are meeting. That's overcoming a kind of limitation. And the thing to remember is this limitation could have been overcome not by relying on some hardware, some material thing. We could have, while you're in your living room without having to depend on the laptop, and we all meet. And this is what some of the languages that is used in those sutras. We could all meet in each other's space without leaving your space. So we can all be in Harish's space, and Harish could be in Sangeeta's space, and we're all in Sangeeta's space. We're all in Harish's space. Everyone here, we're all, and we're all here in Kuwait's space. Okay. I mean, in a way that is as literal as there's a laptop on this table. Okay. So this is the very last thing I wanted to mention for those of you who were hoping for this. Okay, this is the very last thing. Remember the 5 places where spiritual beings find themselves? Believe it or not, there is, I don't know if it's coincidence or if it's somebody who made it up after the fact. Each of those levels is represented by a planet. Okay. Saturn, the moon, the sun, Mars. There's another one. And there is I'm saying coincidentally, it says, oh, that level is so many distance above the earth. And when you take that number and you put it to, what's that thing? Okay, something I forget, astronomy or astrology?
Which one?
The distance between the planets.
Astronomy.
Astronomy, right?
Yeah.
So when you go to astronomy, interesting enough, that number is very close. Like, always says the distance between here and that plane is so many miles. And astronomy says, oh, that's the distance between here and Mars. And it said, this one is so many miles away. Oh, that's the distance between here and Saturn. So the really very, very last thing, the reason I'm saying this is because, remember, Buddhist cosmology is not just physical planets, physical places, but psycho-physical. These things are intertwined. These things are interrelated. The environment you live in is because of what you bring to it. And it is also influencing you. It's not to be taken as destiny in a sense that because of the influence of this body and you have no choice but to experience this. But rather, that can be said relatively speaking, but we are not bound to it. Not bound to it in the sense that, so that's the possible outcome of this influence of this body in relationship to me. But I have the agency to do something about it, to either allow it to continue to take place, or to make a different to have a different experience. So that's the very last thing I wanted to say. And I did warn you that it will be boring. So if you have questions. Yes.
I was wondering what you think of, or I guess how you would prescribe helping people remember that this is what's happening, right? Like if one of the definitions from the Indian translations of mindfulness is to remember, like to remember one's true nature. And I find that when speaking about cosmology or something quite expansive, it's extremely difficult to feel connected to that. Yeah. Right? Because what's happening right now, the emotional interplay of this moment, this life, this experience on planet Earth is so solid and feels very permanent that it feels just so extremely difficult to come back to, I think, what is so that place of pure potential. And I feel like the closest a lot of people get is through deep prayer or, like psychedelic medicine, when working with something that can expedite that. But from the Buddhist perspective, how does one remember that? Like when life is so complex and the human mind is so untrained, how do you remember that we can transcend such deep limitations, like even how our biology is expressed?
But you said remember. Using the very faculty of remembering, when you are in a particular situation that seems to be, when we are having an experience that seems to be overwhelming, as we are having that experience, it's at the same time, it seems like, okay, I have found the thing that's going to last forever. That's how we experience it. But in those moments, try to remember when, wait a minute, yesterday I wasn't like this. So therefore, this sense that this is going to last forever must be an illusion. So, and you begin remembering that way. And it has to be something that an actual experience that you're remembering. It's not just, well, it says so in such and such a book, and so said so, but it has to be an experience that you can validate through your own experience. The day before I wasn't like this. So this sense that this is going to last forever is an illusion. Because if what I'm experiencing now will last forever, then what I was experiencing the other day should have lasted forever. Okay. And that's how you begin to sort of dismantle. So remember, according to Buddhism, it's not that we are innocent and we just have an innocent mind and then things are being thrown at us. But rather, we are consciously creating this. We are consciously creating our limitations. We are consciously participating in perpetuating that limitation. And remember moments. I'm sure you've had those moments where you felt some kind of freedom from that, where something extraordinary happened. Instead of brushing it aside as an accident, think of it as you tapped into your potential. Maybe the tapping into the potential was an accident, but being able to do it is not accidental. So go back into that, and then remember, I was able to have that experience. I had an experience where I saw the future. I had an experience where I teleported It was an actual experience that I cannot deny, just like I cannot deny these experiences that I'm having here. So those fleeting moments are sparks that somehow you're breaking into the fabric of the illusion. You're tearing the veil of delusion, and you have a spark of perception into what is truly possible. And remembering those will help us get rid of the attachment that this is it, this is I'm limited to this, and this is all that can be experienced. Mm-hmm. And the only reason that this is strong is because we are repeating it constantly. We are repeating it constantly. When we are talking, when we are engaging with others, see, we don't say it. You don't say it, but we feel it and we accept it. So we are reinforcing it, but rather reinforce those moments where you had those spark of liberation, where you experience some taste of limitlessness.
Well, right? That was my follow-up question. How does one preserve that? You know, like I'm thinking when you have one practice where something feels really profound, or a dream, or again, a medicine ceremony or an intuition, those things more often than not are fleeting. Like it is the minority of experience. How does one preserve it when the mind is so addicted to doubting it and, you know, all of a sudden getting wrapped up in this again, and then it's like, did that even?
Well, this is what you would naturally do. If you accidentally had this great dish and you want to taste that dish again, what would you do?
Make the dish. Or go back to the restaurant?
You go back to whatever you will recall. What did I do? And I think I added this much. I think I added this much of this, of that. Right? So what you're doing, you are being mindful. You're turning your mindfulness towards the process. And by turning your mindfulness towards the process, you're expanding it. It's no longer occupying just a fraction of time in your mind anymore. It's now you've expanded it. And the more you do that, the more you expand it. This is an experiment that I'm doing right now, and it comes from a question that I have: why pain? What is the? But speaking from a very biological kind of perspective, why evolution create? I don't know what the experience of pain. Why? What is the purpose of that? What is it? Why does it exist?
So we can learn from our mistakes.
And so what is it? What is that? It is a sensation that is drawing your attention, right? Maybe there is something powerful with just attention itself. So that's my experiment. So when I have pain, instead of grabbing some ointment, I'm just gonna be fully aware of it and see what happens. So you don't have to try it, but that's my experiment. Okay. And I'm not sure if it's working, if it's just in my mind. I've had this pain in the back, and of course, that's why I'm asking that question. I'm in pain. And that forced me to ask the question, why pain? Why does it exist? And I said, oh, um, your body is forcing you to pay attention to something. So, or maybe there is something to just attention itself. Maybe attention itself has a power. And of course, and I'm witnessing myself. Okay, I'm aware of it. It's painful. It's painful, and I'm witnessing myself. All I want to do is run away from it. All I want to do is run away from it. And then the way I make myself keep at it, I say, "What do you want to run away from?" I'm only running away from this or this. You want to run away from this? Okay, so I start keep my attention on it, and eventually I forget about it. I don't know, I fall asleep or I get distracted, and then later on I say, "Where's that pain that was there before?" And I was sort of validated somewhat. Okay, it's not pure validation. Okay, there was this experiment. Some of you probably have seen it, where someone has two hands on a table, one hand hidden from them, and they put a fake hand where the other hand would be, right? And then they, at the same time, they stroke the hand and the fake hand, and the person started to actually feel. After some time, they stop manipulating the real hand, and they're just touching and the fake hand, and the person is actually feeling it. And to the point where the end of it was the person took a hammer and whacked the fake hand, and the person felt their hand being whacked. So that's sort of a validation to me about, I don't know, maybe it's completely nonsense that I'm using this, but in my world, it makes sense to there's something about just attention itself. When you bring it somewhere, there's a power that it brings with it. Okay, just like I can't be loved. I can't be loved. I bring attention to that and I empower that and I create a world where I'm able to see, oh, see, I can't be loved. See, I can't be loved. And you get into a relationship with someone, oh, see, I can't be loved. It's because we empower that. I don't know how to get into that, but that's psychophysical cosmology. All these things are interconnected. Okay. Maybe the pain you're feeling is because an asteroid fell in Mars. I'm kidding and not kidding. Okay. All right, so it's time to end, and as I promised, didn't leave much time for you to ask questions.
Okay, I just say one last thing.
Yes.
I think it also reminds me of like even now, like watching videos of what's happening in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Like my body shuts. Like I feel like I'm there, which I think everybody feels that way. Mm-hmm. When you're exposed to such extreme violence, you start to feel like it's happening to your body. Mm-hmm. You know, like I notice I'll get hives, or I'll get like I'll feel like I'm there. So I feel like it's exactly what you're saying, that it's the perception. The more you engage, your body's like, that's my experience too. Mm-hmm. And then you're responding as if those are the conditions of your experience as well. Oh, wow. Just, I think that's like part of the reason why it's so hard to engage sometimes with the content, because you're having, obviously not to the same extent by any means, but you're having some physiological reaction as if the experience was much closer than a device. Yeah. So that's pointing to the fluidity of selfhood, right? The fluidity of selfhood. You're focusing on that, so that somehow created an identity with that. And what you see happening to it is as if it's happening to you. It's interesting. Any questions from... No, you're good? All right. All right, so let's end this so these people here can drink. So we end the meditation the same way as usual. So just as you're settling into your meditation posture, remember how it felt the last time you meditated. And just the memory of it will begin to give you a taste of it. And eventually you find yourself having a taste of it. As soon as you have that taste of it, take a nice deep breath. And as you let go, let yourself go into that taste. Completely let go, completely let go, completely let go. Notice the calm enhancing, notice the pleasantness enhancing, notice the clarity, the radiance, the focus enhancing, rejoice. And in the very center of that, feel the sense of self. And what are the dimensions that are connected to this sense of self? And know that they are just different parts, left hand, left foot, right foot. And yet, when you think of self, they are all included.
so that the left hand helping the right hand is self helping self. And let that expand. If someone were to look at all of us gathered together, they would say, oh, look at them, and they will see the them as a unity. So accept that them as a unity, us. So extend that sense of us, where in the same way your left hand will take care of your right hand, saying self, see yourself ready to help another and thinking, I'm helping myself. And because of this beautiful realization, a bright light manifests in front of us as a realization of this, manifestation of this realization. And as we accept the idea of the fluidity of self more and more, this bright light expands until it completely envelops us and there's no more differentiation. It's just this bright light continuing to expand until it expands to whatever you call all of existence. Planet, the solar system, the galaxy, the multiverse, whatever feels for you real. And within that, feel yourself ready to help the sky, ready to help the mountains, that's self, the grass, that's self, the rivers, the oceans, that's self, that's me, the different animals flying, crawling, that's me. And feel the impulse, readiness, just like the right hand is ready to help the left hand. You are ready to help them. And it's not you helping them, but it's self helping self. And from that, you no longer need this manifestation of this realization because the realization is now ingrained. So the manifestation is slowly being withdrawn. So this bright light is withdrawing. And as it withdraws to the center, whatever it touches, it leaves a shimmer of itself. It's a reminder of this is me. And finally, no longer need any manifestation of this realization. It's purely in the heart. So this light goes into each one of our hearts, and we have the conviction, when I sincerely help myself, I help everyone. When I sincerely help everyone, I also help myself. Be aware of your own unique sign that you're in meditation, your merit energy, so to speak. And as you feel it, think of what concerns you have, sincere concerns you have, and direct this merit energy to help address that concern. By the power of this peace, by the power of this pleasantness, by the power of this clarity. May we all see each other as each other and be free of the disease of war. And be ready to come out of the meditation. Notice that you're indeed in meditation. Notice the signs, rejoice. And as a commitment to come out, take a nice deep breath. And as you breathe out, let yourself reconnect with your immediate surroundings, reconnect to your sense of touch, reconnect with your sense of hearing, and reconnect with your sense of sight. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.